Hello viewers and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we will be diving into the thrilling world of the movie Black Panther. We will explore its storyline, share insights and reviews, and break down the ending to help you fully understand it. On top of that, we will take a look at how the movie performed at the box office and why it left such a lasting impression on audiences worldwide. So grab your popcorn, sit back, and let's uncover the secrets behind this movie. Let's get started. Box office by the number 5 game changers for 2018. How successful has the 2018 box office been? Let us count the V's. The movie business is on track to hit a global record and for the first time in a while. North America is to thank. After being diagnosed with several cases of squelitis and franchise fatigue, studios were able to lure audiences back to theaters with a healthy mix of worth, blockbuster, and surprise successes that will likely span sequels of their own. Here Variety broke down some key box office stats that help indicate record a year. The domestic box office set a new benchmark this year and is expected to cross $11.9 billion for the first time ever. The massive boost up 7% from last year is due to in part of blockbusters like Disney's Avengers Infinite War, Universal Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom and Fox's Deadpool 2, as well as sleeper hits like Paramount's A Quiet Place and Warner Bros. A Star is Born. There were some notable flops to be sure, but overall it's been a good year for Hollywood. 2019 has a lot to live up to. $700 million highest grossing movie of the year. Black Panther was the big winner in North America, becoming one of three movies to ever hit 700 million at the domestic box office and the third highest grossing film of all time in the state. The barrier breaking film became the must see cultural event at the theater, driving its global haul past $1.3 billion is Oscar Gold, the next stop of Marvel Road to Glory. 64.4% of moviegoers between the ages of 18 and 44. Read young people are still going to the movie. Netflix has the convenience factor, sure, but millennials are still willing to shell out of the right theatrical experience. So much so that moviegoers between 18 and 44 years old accounted for more than half of audience. 9.38 average percent ticket price in the country. Going to the movie got more expensive this year. The average ticket price in North America rose to $9.38 million as summer, increasing 43 cents for the year period. The figure is collected from national prices according to the country, where are typically less expensive in rural states. If you live in New York City, Los Angeles, however, a ticket understand $10 sounds like a set. 4 months that set new records. Hollywood took a risk or two this year. It paid off a big way. Like another year, this summer had its share of journals, but rather than reeling of summer vacation or the Thanksgiving New Year stretches to drop a blockbuster, hopeful studios were able to avoid cannibalization by looking beyond traditional money, making money to release big movies that in turn followed for record-breaking month February Black Panther, April Avenger and Infinite War, A Quiet Place, June Incredible 2, Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom and October Venom, A Star is Born. It's never hard to spread the wealth. Black Panther blasts off with $169 million overseas, $371 million worldwide weekend international box office. Update Monday right through the King Wakanda is king at the international box office with a stunning $168.7 million in 48 markets through Sunday. That puts Disney Marvel's Black Panther at a global debut of $370.5 million with the actual of domestic coming in higher. Including Monday's domestic estimate, the worldwide cures rises above $400 million. The number are in science in the refrain heard all weekend as the movie shattered expectations. Most ahead of the opening were saying $90 million, $120 million, with some believing it could edge higher, but not to these stratospheric totals. What false is? The movie is playing to the Marvel faithful and also brought out the non-core audience, says one international distribution veteran. I think it's so fresh and people are recognized this worldwide. Part of the reason the estimates were so less that many saw this accompanying a first stand-alone movie with a character who's not as well known from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Dave Hills, Disney's president of theatrical distribution, admits the studio did not see it rivaling the Avengers movies. It just did not seem possible, and yet the receptions in every single way is a reflection of how good a movie this was. But there is no movement inside the Marvel studio space. The consistencies with Marvel scores encourages moviegoers to go along with them and try new things. Importantly, the movie clicked with what has been an underserved market. Says Hollis, our goal is make movies that reflect the diversity of our world because those are the stories that restores everywhere. To have the ability to show other people's experience is part of the beauty of movies. But it also allows for rich storytelling and for the people whose experiences are up on the screen, especially if they have not showcase our tone, meaningful nature of being able to see yourself represented. These things really matter to everyone. But in this case, it matter even more to communities of color. Representations matters, and the times we have leaned into, we have had massive results. The globe opening is the number 15 of all time devised, not having China, Japan, and Russia in the intellectual street. Internationally, Black Panther's bow is bigger than Logan, Avatar, and comes in just below X-Men Days of Future Past. These are the unjustice rated inversion related patterns, so not entirely apples to apples, but are for idea where this history movie will chart. Black Panther launched at number 1 in almost all markets and get this with $24.9 million in the UK. He has already overtaken the entire run of Justice League, Captain America, the first Avenger, Thor, Ant-Man, and Iron Man. That holds a new record for the highest grossing February opening weekend ever. In Korea, the Ryan Coogler directed superhero pick was the number 5 biggest Western industry opening of all time at $25.3 million, ahead of Doctor Strange and Thor Ragnarok, and already exceeding the entire runs of Guardians of the Galaxy and Ant-Man. This is the lead market too far. It's a huge Marvel hub, but there was some concern early on the Asia might not embrace this boundary breaking movie. It was a smart play by Disney to launch the global press junk in the Korea to play off the fact that the film was partly shot in country. Taking with review executives, the sentiment in the BP is the part benefiting in Asia from the Chinese Lunar New Year, which kicked off Friday and has added translates in the spin. There is a feeling so cornered. This movie is necessarily going to mean film with predominantly black cast will all of a sudden are coordinated which number overseas an issue and address before offshore play started. But these numbers are inaudible encouraging. We will keep a close watch to see how front loaded BP ultimately is with a relative clear month ahead. BP did not open number 1 in major hubs Germany, and Italy where Universal's 50 Shades Freed kept a tight grip in second frame, getting a perms always from the Valentine's Day's holiday. The weekend on the picture was $47.7 million for a 46% drop, a $190.8 million offshore cube in 60 markets. Global, the movie is at $269 million. And in China, where BP would not pounce until March 9, it's been a mega weekend. Still, some of these crazy numbers we saw on Friday. When Monster Hunt 2 entered the record books with the biggest single day gross ever east at the frame continued, the Roman Huey directed sequel 2015's Monster hit opened to about $82 million without previews $97 million within Friday. But on Saturday, rather than seeing a jump, it debuted to just $58 million, and on Sunday, it was bested the detective Chinatown, which too closed to weekend at $155 million. Monster Hunt 2 ended the session $188 million, including previews and per local reporting. ComScore it is $140 million for the 3 days. We saw a similar phenomenon last year when Journey to the West, the dominant strike back, was retracted as the Chinese New Year champs, but fell back when Jackie Chan's Kung Fu Yoga ended a surge, becoming the number 5 film of 2017, ahead of Journey to the New West. MS2 is at the poor 5.3 on the review side Doban versus 7.3 for the DC2 and 8.5 for Operation Red Sea. $70.3 million opening. The three movies do have IMAX in common in a seven play that saw the large format guys spread the love across them. Combined, they earned $15.1 million for the 3 day and $19 million for the 4 day, with Friday becoming the best single day result in IMAX Chinese history. The total was also the best ever FSS result. In the US, Warner is releasing Detective Chinatown 2 with it leading to Middle Kingdom offering. It was largely shot in New York with $677K for the 3 day and $800K for the 4 day. At the 115 locations, Linus is releasing Monster Hunt 2 domestically on 70 screen, and Go has Monkey King 3 Kingdom of Women. Turning back to the rest of the international pack, 50 Shades Freed notably stayed top in Germany with a $22.2 million cum, dropping just 19% from the open. Rounding out to top are the UK $19.7 million cum dollar, France $14.58 million, Italy $14.1 million, and Brazil $12.4 million. For estimates Mass Runner, the death cure at the $11 million in 65 markets, depending just 26% in France and 32% in Germany to reach an Intel cum of $205 million. It's finally Terrier debuted in Japan on June 15. The Greatest Showman continued its surprising run with $9.6 million in 31 markets and a number one debut in Japan with $4.4 million. It debuted a teeny 2% in the UK, pulling in $2.6 million and modest 18% in Australia. Its international tally is now $180.5 million. Elsewhere, and we reported on a Saturday, Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle has grossed $900 million worldwide. It is now Sony's two highest grossing movie ever. The total has $527 million international and $904 million global after a $4.8 million weekend. Sony also had a local hit with Russia romantic ice skating drama Ice. This is one gross $8.7 million to launch at number 1 is the home market of 1710 screens. This film released on Valentine's Day and set a new industry record in Russia as the biggest opening day for a local title ever. The director is Olive Profil, focus and working titles to BAFTA winner Sunday Night. Darkest Hour has closed $78 million internationally to date across $30 million in the UK. Guillermo del Toro's The Shape of Water, which led BAFTA noms and scored another trophy for the Mexican director, grossed a great $12.3 million for searching in 40 markets, including an excellent $3.3 million in the UK. The international cum is now $38.7 million. Stablemate and Beef BAFTA winner 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri, collected $4.5 million from the 40 overseas market after passing $100 million worldwide early this week. Also, Disney's Pixar Coke passed Shrug Forever after to become number 113 animated film of all internationally with $523.7 million. Box office was slightly average on Sunday owing to the BAFTA Film Awards. Figures are being updated as they roll in for BAFTA action from last night. Scroll on over here for our report from the Royal Albert Hall in London. New Black Panther. Dissecting the $168.7 million offshore start, let's look at some milestones. The Netherlands posted the highest grossing day ever for the superhero film and the highest grossing February opening weekend ever. Black Panther also posted the highest grossing February opening of all time in Bahrain, East Africa, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Africa, UK, UAE, and West America. In Africa, T'Challa Award with the top industry opening weekend of all time in both East America and West Africa, while in South Africa it was the highest grossing Saturday ever industry history as well as the second highest grossing industry opening weekend of all time excluding previews. Across Asia, Pacific Panther was number 1 and was the biggest opening weekend of 2018 to date in all markets. In Hong Kong, India, Korea, Malaysia, the Philippines, Taiwan, Thailand, Pathan topped the lifetime of GOTC. Indonesia was the third biggest industry FSS ever and Malaysia the third biggest MCU bow of all time. Across Latin America, the Chadwick Boseman's trailer opened at number 1 in all markets and was the best opener this year. Everywhere except Argentina, it scored the highest score grossing February opening of all time in Mexico, Brazil, Colombia, Bolivia, Panama, and Paraguay. In IMAX, BP shorted $30 million for the 3 days and $34 million for the 4 day holiday weekend. Three markets had their best opening weekend ever: Nigeria, Kenya, Indonesia. Korea had its second best opening weekend ever, and Sims markets had their best opening ever for the Marvel title. Angola, Bohemia, Bahrain, France, Israel, Netherlands. The top 10 markets are the Korea $25 million $3 and UK $24.9 million, Mexico $9.6 million, Brazil $9.4 million, Australia $9.2 million, France $7.7 million, Indonesia $6.5 million, Germany $6.2 million, Taiwan $6.5 million, and Malaysia $4.9 million. Next, we can see is opening in Russia along with Vietnam, Trenda, Poro, Japan, China are in March. Weekend box office: Black Panther bounds to record shuttering $235 million plus bow. Estimates for the history-making movie keep going up and up. Overseas it amasses $169 million for an estimated global launch of $404 million. In a defining moment for Hollywood, Disney Marvel Studios, Black Panther exploded at the President's Day box office, burning to a record-shattering estimate of $201.8 million for the 3 days weekend and a project $235 million plus for the 4 days holiday frame. Those crossings are substantially ahead of Sunday's estimates of $1.92 million and $218 million respectively. Overall revenue of the holiday weekend looks up to a strategy 88% overall last year, pushing revenue year to date in the black by nearly 7%. The Ryan Coogler directed movie unprecedented in being a big budget studio, tentpole featuring a virtual all black bust, scored the fifth biggest domestic opening of all time after blasting past all expectations, and it doubled of the top four grosses of all time after stumbling past Jurassic World $234 million to land behind Star Wars The Last Jedi $40.6 million and Star Wars The Force Awakens $288.1 million. Black Panther could climb even higher once weekend numbers are tailed Tuesday morning. Had four final numbers. Rival Studio put the 4 day grossing in the 240 million range. On Sunday alone, the movie grossed an estimate $60.1 million, the second biggest Sunday ever behind Force Awakens $60.6 million. Other records broken include that of biggest opening of an American directed, the top scoring superhero film on Rotten Tomatoes 97% at the biggest February bow, supplanting previous charm debut, which took in $152.2 million over the 4 days President weekend in 2016. Playing in 2020 theaters, Black Panther is being faulted by a diverse audience. According to the ComScore, 37% of ticket buyers were American African Caucasians, make up the next largest group, 35%, followed by Hispanic, 18%. The sort of demographic background is unheard of a marquee superhero tentpole. On average, African Americans make up about 15% of the audience for such fare. Females also turned out in force to see Black Panther, hurdled for the portrayal of strong women, making up 45% of all tickets buyers that share it, unusual 35% to 40% on a superhero movie's opening weekend. There are 7 billion people on this planet and they come from all walk life. Audiences diverse to see themselves reflected on the big screen. Beyond being the right thing to do, it make for the richer storytelling, says Disney's distribution chef Dave Hillos. At the Mac Entertainment CEO Greg Foster, representation matters. Get Out, Wonder Woman, Coco, and now Black Panther show Hollywood that authentically and exclusively wins. Black Panther, which cost $200 million to make before marketing, was a bold move on the part of Disney and Marvel's Canvey Food. In the film, Chadwick Boseman stars as T'Challa Black Panther alongside Lupita Nyong'o, Michael B. Jordan, Daniel Kaluuya, Letitia Wright, Winston Duca, Angela Bassett, Forrest Whitaker, and Andy Serkis. The story described as the tale of Black power and Black pride to addition to its superheroes themselves, followed to T'Challa as to sworn is the king of Wakanda, a cloaked, technologically audience nations in Africa that is home to the exotic metal vibranium, the source of Black Panther powers. Audiences boosted Black Panther with an A+. Cinema score. The only other Marvel title to earn the mark was Avengers. Black Panther hits theater almost a year after Jordan Peele's Mofkir's horror Get Out, the transformation in a box office sensation, although that was a generic pick. And in summer 2017, filmmaker Patty Jenkins's Wonder Woman, featuring a female protagonist, became the highest grossing live action film from a female director. Overseas, while American films with a black cast can face challenges, Black Panther opened in virtual every major market save Russia February 22, Japan March 1, and China March 9. The movie earned a mighty $169 million estimates global bow of $404 million through Monday, including a heft $35 million from IMAX locations around the world, the top showing for the Marvel title. Black Panther came in ahead of expectations overseas, but certainly not to extent in did not America. Still, it scored the 25th biggest international debut of all time, opening number one in almost every territory. South Korea led with 25.3 million dollars, the fifth biggest start ever for a Western title. The UK, Ireland followed with a $24.8 million launch, the best showing of an Marvel title behind Avengers Age of Ultron and eclipsing the entire runs of Justice League, Ant-Man and the first installment in the Captain America and the Thor franchises. In North America, the only movie that dared to open nationwide opposite Black Panther were longest and Ardman Animations family film Early Man and Pure Flix's faith-based Pick Soman. Early Man placed number 7 with an estimated 4-day gross of $4.2 million from 2,492 theaters, while cinemas came in number 11 with an estimate $1.9 million from 1,249 cinemas. Among Hollywood viewing of internationally over President Weekend, Sony and Aardman's animated film Peter Rabbit placed number 2 with $23.1 million for a domestic total of $54.1 million, followed by Universal Fifth Shades Freed with $19.4 million in its second outing of a sadistic global total of $268.4 million. Sony Germany's Welcome to the Jungle came to the number 1 with $10 million as it crossed the $900 million mark globally to become the studio's number 2 title of all time behind Skyfall after pressing Spider-Man number 3, accounting in influent Clint Eastwood 1517 to Paris from the Warner Bros. Rounded out to top with $9.1 million in its second weekend for a global total $37.6 million. Fox's The Greatest Showman continued to single loudly, coming in number 6 with $6.3 million for a domestic total of $155.6 million on Saturday. The original musical surpassed La La Land $150.1 million. Songwriting duo Bunch Pask and Jostick Paul, who are on an Oscar for the Best Original Song, also wrote the musical of La La Land. Greatest Showman now ranked as the number 4 musical of all time domestically, not adjusted for inflation. It internationally tally is $155.6 million for a global total of $34.1 million. Black Panther rules box office for third straight weekend. Los Angeles, Wakanda region over America shows no signs of fanning. Black Panther is king of the US box office for the third straight weekend. Studio estimates Sunday says the Marvel movie brought in $65.7 million this weekend, easily outpacing new releases Red Sparrow and Deathwish. Black Panther has now grossed $500 million domestically after 3 weeks of release. It's the third fastest film to reach the $500 million plateau. Disney is clearly on a roll with Black Panther showing incredible strength. It's posed the third biggest third weekend gross of all time, said Paul Daragabedian, senior media analyst for ComScore, and most notable becomes the 10th highest grossing movie of all time in the North America after just 17 days in theaters. Fox's Red Sparrow featuring Jennifer Lawrence is a Russian ballerina turned spray spare and $17 million in first weekend. Need a new break? Check out all the new Play Hub with puzzles, games and more. Deathwish, MGM's reboot of Charles Bronnan's action franchise starring Bruce Willis was third with $313 million. Both newcomers performed to expectations but had to compete in marketable, totally dominated by Black Panther. Dargabian said Game Night $10.7 million and Peter Rabbit $10 million rounded off the top 5. The total come on a weekend when all industry eyes are on the Academy Award which will be handed out to Hollywood later Sunday. None of the major nominees remain in the box office top 10, though some continues to bring in Reshape 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri reached $52 million domestically through Sunday and The Shape of Water passed $57 million. Black Panther, directed by Ryan Coogler and starring Chadwick Boseman and Mitchell B. Jordan has become a groundbreaking cinematic phenomenon giving under prestige represented for a film of its king to black character while winning over every corner of the culture. It would shoot past the $1 billion mark worldwide. Wakanda's King may finally be knocked for the box office throne next weekend with the release of directed Ava DuVernay, A Wrinkle in Time and other Disney film that gives groundbreaking representation of American African on both sides of camera. Black Panther crosses $1 billion at global box office. Marvel's Black Panther continues its record breaking streak, passing the $1 billion mark at the global box office in just 26 days. The Ryan Coogler tentpole is the third movie to gross $1 billion. It's the second 16th Disney film to reach this milestone and the fifth Marvel film to do, joining the ranks of Avengers Age of Ultron, Iron Man 3, and Captain American Civil War. Black Panther has grossed $521 million domestically, making it the ninth highest release of all time. In its fifth weekend, Black Panther is heading for a $40 million plus weekend, which would make it the number two superhero release of all time over The Dark Knight, $535 million. It would also give Black Panther the third highest fourth weekend of all time, taking the title from the Avengers with $36.7 million. Avatar and Star Wars The Force Awakens currently hold one and two spots with $50.3 million and $42.4 million respectively. A 44% drop for the tentpole fourth weekend would be on par is third weekend decline of 41%. Internationally, Black Panther is aiming for the $500 million mark this weekend thanks to strong debut in China where it opened with $20 million in its first day. Black Panther has been lauded for the diversity as a big budget superhero tentpole with a nearly all black cast set in the functional American national of Wakanda. Chadwick Boseman stars alongside Angela Bassett, Forrest Whitaker, Lupita Nyong'o, Danai, Gurira, and Mitchell Jordan. Black Panther stocks $1.3 billion at the worldwide box office. Hold on to your hats because Marvel Studios' Black Panther is forcing box office pantheons to rewrite expectations yet again after a three-day Easter weekend, pushing the superhero blockbuster past $1.273 billion. Monday's receipts, which sent Black Panther $1.275 plus billion as they continue its march toward what appears to an inevitable finally come north of $1.3 billion. On Monday, Black Panther will become the 10th highest grossing movie in history, taking the top 10 spot from Disney's Frozen. Disney family of studio now owns 7 of top 12 of all time box office spots. It's become a dangerous game to play, but today's installment of Guess where Black Panther will end its run sees the realistic dominate estimate rising about $1.3 million, $1.305 billion, predicting modest weekly decline. The line will typically drop at this point in the film release. In the film case, defying those odds, however, the final count could wind to closer 1.31 plus $1 billion. My actual personal prediction in a final globe total of about $1.315 billion, give or take a couple of $1 billion. If someone unexpected factor enters the equation and causes Black Panther to spend the next few weeks suddenly facing bigger than expected declines, there is a chance it might wind a couple of million bucky shy of $1.3 billion. But at this point, there is no reason to big against Black Panther. Domestically, Black Panther is already the fifth highest grossing movie of all time, but here is the amazing part of end of next weekend. It will replace Titanic as the third highest grossing film in the history as the domestic box office, behind only Star Wars, The Force Awakens, and Avatar. Say out loud to yourself to achieve the full impact of the new Black Panther is about to beat Titanic in North America. At this point, it seems likely Black Panther will gross more than Solo, a Star Wars story, since Star Wars The Last Jedi finished its box office run and $1.332 billion, and with the separate Star Wars story banner more inclined to come to below the totals of Mind's series, Solo will probably top $1 billion but still wind up well behind Black Panther. Likewise, Black Panther will be close to matching the eventual box office of Avenger Infinite War, depending on the whether that Marvel team up picture finishes somewhere around 1.3 $1.4 billion or gets enough extra boost for the inclusion of Black Panther and the Guardians of the Galaxy to climb past $1.5 billion territory. ID been expecting an average cube closer $1.4 billion, but these preliminary numbers plus the increased likelihood of a strong Black Panther cocktail effect increasing change my perspective on the matter. We will see what the yearly impact of marketing turning out to be and how estimate look ahead to opening weekend in a few weeks. Whatever clemently baffles Earth, mightiest hero in the upcoming back-to-back Avenger movie Infinite War releases April 27 of this year and the secret title Avenger of Open next year on May 3. It's pretty safe, but T'Challa, aka Black Panther, will survive since Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige, our official confirmed the sequel, meaning he will be back to challenge this on solo superhero movie box office record in a few years. It seems all but impossible for Black Panther to supplement the Last Jedi to 9 all-time box office sport to unfortunately the means Infinite War will eventually move into the top 10 push Black Panther to the 11th position but of a few weeks Black Panther will sit in the all-time top 10 and will remain the top grossing solo superhero film for a long time. Box office figure and tale is based on DataView. Black Panther is officially a $1 billion hit. Less than a month after hitting theaters, Black Panther has officially made over $1 billion at the global box office. It is now the fifth Marvel film in history to cross that market after the average Iron Man 3, Avenger of Age of Ultron, and Captain American Civil War. It's also the first film of 2018 to hit $1 billion worldwide. Black Panther becomes highest grossing superhero movie in US. Box office results shows that the film has earned a record breaking total of 330.9 million dollars so far, taking it number 5 on the all-time US list. Black Panther has overtaken The Avenger to become the highest grossing superhero film at the US box office, taking a total of $630.9 million, $44.5 million on its sixth weekend of release. The Avenger, also a Marvel production, finished off $623.4 million in its home market in 2012. The record-breaking result, in which Black Panther added an estimated $16.6 million to its previous week's total of $14.3 million, came as it was threatened from the 5-week run the box office number 1, having been overtaken by monster movie Pacific Rim Uprising, which managed $28 million on its debut. Black Panther, which has been widely lauded for its diversity as well as its commercial appeal, has overtaken both The Avenger and Star Wars The Last Jedi to move number 5 on the all-time list. All the US box office industry analyst Brast Brew of Box Office Mojo considers it likely to pass Jurassic World at number 4, and that has a shot overtaking Titanic currently at number 3 with $659.4 million. However, Black Panther has some way to go before it can match the Avenger Global, with the later film making $1.52 billion worldwide, Black Panther taking currently stand $1.24 billion. An incredible self-on. In 1936, John Scott, son of the late Guardian owner and legendary editor C.P. Scott, did something underhead of our media here. He gave up his stake of the great good. After entering the newspaper, Scott renounced all financial benefit bar the salary in the Guardian worth 1 million at the time and around 62 million today and passed ownership over the newly formed Scott Trust. The trust would evolve to have one mission to secure the financial and additional independence of the Guardian in perpetuity. The means the Guardian can the board not by private equal, not by a conglomerate, and definitely not by a billionaire looking of a political metapieces. So here are three good reasons to make the choice to sport today. Our quality investigation journalist is scoring for a wide time when the rich and powerful are getting with more and more. We are independent and have billion owner controlling what I do. Do your money directly power our reporting. It does not cost much and take less time than it took to read this message. This unique model also means to depend on reader like you Pakistan to help the fund of work. We independence means we can say that we would not report or we want challenge. We want and stand up at a time when others are sitting down. If you would rather than the news to read was the result of decision made by journalist and editor to shorterhood of ultra wealthy tech bros, then will you know what to do for the guardians on a monthly basis. Black Panther is a great MCU superhero adventure that smoothly blends rich narrative substances with sheer popcorn entertainment. The 18th film is the Marvel Cinematic Universal and the final step on the winding journey to Avenger Infinite War. Black Panther gives Chadwick Boseman, titular superhero, a chance to shine in his own solo movie, following his MCU debut in Captain American Civil War. Working behind the camera as a co-write and directed here is Ryan Coogler, who successfully installed the established MCU superhero movie template with a personal touch and directional sensibility of Black Panther, much like he did not the Rogue Spawn revival create 3 years ago, combined with the cost and setting that break ground of representation in the world of blockbuster filmmaking. Kogler and his crew's efforts result in one of the strongest additions to the MCU to date. Black Panther is a great MCU superhero adventure that smoothly blends rich narrative substance with sheer popcorn entertainment. Black Panther picks up right after the events of Civil War as the T'Challa postman prepared to second the throne of Wakanda following the death of his father, King T'Challa John Kani. However, no sooner is to T'Challa named king, the country's old enemy, Ulysses Kalu and Syracuse emerges for the shadows, breaks into a British museum and steals rare Wakanda artificial made of vibranium, the strongest metal of earth, and the precious minerally the whole to kill the Wakanda. Many secret from the country adventure technology to back Black Panther impressively armor, the rear hub that previous him with the Superman abilities. Tijla thus teams up the OK, Danny Gori, the head of the Dora, Melaja Aka, the Black Panther personal bodyguard, and his former lover turned Wakanda secret agenda Nokina Lupita Nyong'o in order to track Cola and the black market arms dealer once and for all. However, it turns out that Cola is little more than the mass one by far. Dangerous enemy one Erik Killmonger, Stravage, Mitchell, Jordan, Teddymin with a man of mysterious past who has been plans out not been threatened to teach La region as king but the very future of Wakanda itself. Written by Coogler and Joe Ribord, Cole a veteran of Marvel Studios Beyond in-house writer program. Black Panther combines many of the best elements of MCU film past including the Shakespeare royal film drama of the Thor movie, the political thriller element of Civil War and Captain America the Winter Soldier, and even the psychic tech effective the Iron Man film coupled with rich world building that bring the long hidden land of Wakanda to striking on a big screen. This allows Black Panther to breathe a fresh life into the familiar MCU plot and character tropes without sweeping on the shiny, spectral, and playful hammer. The Marvel Studio movie are none of Black Panther's similar bodies of the Thor Rangers' subtle exploration of colonialism by exhibiting by the Western colonization and insular of American continue having ripple effect today through the lens of the Earth-based MCU. T'Challa character are in Black Panther is further informed by concern about the global isolation and the how to lose cultural heritage impact people as a raised here with respect the Wakanda and its people in the larger MCU. While Boseman delivered another good performance in the role of the conflict and newly crowned Wakanda. King Superhero, this is the ocean where an MCU audition outshines protagonist Jordan's Eliga Killmonger. Stevens is easily the most compelling and sympathetic Marvel Studio film buddies since Loki and arguably the best MCU heroine yet. This is the combination of smart writing and the engaging performance by the Jordan after they worked together to fruition station and great Black Panther is further statement to Jordan and Coogler state as a powerhouse action director team in this sense. Among the standards in the Black Panther are the women in the T'Challa life, especially the character of Oke and Nokia, along with the T'Challa, Tech Ganya's younger sister Shori, Letitia, Wright. All three players are well developed, folded by the respective ideologies and goals, and armed with the distinct personalities that shine through all more thanks to the performance behind them. Writer's story in particular seems designed to make a fan favorite. There are too many super playing in Black Panther of all time shine equally bright, but the film assembly is rock solid across the board. From the player in the story such as Get Out's Daniel Collier, Cabby Tichla, Confident and Ollie, and Vincent Doki as a Mabuk, the powerful leader of Wakanda Mountains, Taribi, the Jabrin of the Wakanda, elder like Angela Best, Ramanda Tichla mother, and the forest vertebrate Zukri of the heart-shaped herb, former Hobbit Taylor, Coster Strikes, and Marine Freeman likewise deliver reprising the rules and Kolia everything rules from previous MCU film. Black Panther further delivers the good witty scum satisfaction with the beautiful marigold outfit by the custom region rather e carpet Salma to gorgeous African athletic of the overseeing film are captured with Rachel Morris often captivating and Vikrus the action squirrels and fight sequence in the first acts of the movie equal impressive in their staging, taking visual coaching from the source of including Coogler on grounded box scene in the grid, as well as many a James Bond film during the nebulous sequence right of the something like Sky. Black Panther third act is the impressive by compression as the movie section less washed down in CGI overload and its plot beats back the emotional repetitions of earlier moments, either because they are rather of a bit too conventional, predictable. Fortunately, the recovered during the Patreon movie and the bring original narrative and thematical theaters of satisfying conclusion. All things considered, Black Panther is both one of the best MCU movies yet and watershed moment for big budget tentpole when it comes to on-screen original and cultural representation. While the film does not fully break the Marvel Studios mold and has one of the same smaller issues as MCU installment, past is some audience color grading humor that understand the drama. Black Panther is top-notch blockbuster filmmaking. The combines thick spiritual with narrative substance. Casual moviegoers and hardcore MCU fans alike will be able to appreciate with the Coogler and the collaborate have delivered here thanks to the movie relatives Stanford's place in the greater franchise. The set purely a prelude infinite war. Black Panther should always the audiences excited to see what happens when the Thomas comes to Earth and Wakanda. Black Panther is now playing in US theaters nationwide. It is 134 minutes long and to rated PG-13 for the prolonged sequences of action, violence, and the brief roadcaster. Want to talk about the Black Panther without spoiling the Marvel Cinematic Universe movie of others? Head on over the Black Panther spoilers discussions. Black Panther leads February 2018 to all-time box office record. Thanks in large part to the phenomenal success of Black Panther, the February domestic box office crossed the 1 billion plateau for the first time in history. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has always had an impressive commercial track record by Ryan Coogler's latest is something special even for them. From its opening weekend, the film has rewritten the record books, shattering a multitude of records as it rises of all-time charts. If Black Panther keeps performing at the pace, it could surprise the Avengers as the highest-grossing installment in the franchise. Black Panther's arrival could not have come at the better time of the marketplace, following the one-time punch of Star Wars, The Last Jedi, and Jumanji. Welcome to the jungle over the holiday season. Journey. January was rather slow in the regard to ticket sales. Audience were accepted a new tentpole, which only added to high demand for something like Black Panther. People turned out to Davos in the month of February, and Panther has helped set another record. Related, can Black Panther beat Infinite War at box office? Per deadline February 2018, US ticket sales grossed a complicated $1 million under Supercritic. 43% of that came from Black Panther for $28.8 million, while 50 Shades freed $91.7 million and Peter Rabbit $73.4 million were also top contributors. The previous record of the month of the February was $18.4 million back in 2012 when films like Safe House and Journey to the Mysterious Island drew in the large crowd. This is just another illustration of value of spreading tentpole fare across the non-summer months. Traditional tentpole fare comes for May through August but has started to change. Marvel themselves have found success in fall, though Renegade and Spring Captain America the Winter Soldier before proving the people go to the rather to support a quality production to the matter what time of it is. The Fast Furious series has also posted strong numbers in April, staying away from the more crowded summer period. That season, new wood blockbuster released every week, running unspoiled, in particular behind Marvel's decision to move Avenger Infinite War up to the end of April. Disney, it seems, larger the lesson quite will given their recent activity. Just last week, the Mouse House scheduled several untitled films through 2023, with dates peppered all through the calendar. Of course, Disney started claim to some summer priority, but there are also a number of movies premiering the February, March, October, and November. This should ensure the studio dominance of the box office continues for years to come as all the trademarks brands expands. Black Panther is most weighted about movie of 2018. There are only a few days left until Marvel's Black Panther hits US theaters, and the film is now the most weighted about the movie of 2018. The journey of Wakanda was inspired everything from the jewelry to a burst or almost soundtrack, the Kendrick's Lomer so far. Much of buzz has taken from the conversation of Twitter, where there has been extremely popular topic of discussion for months now. The masses, particularly people of color, have already embraced the story of T'Challa, Erik Killmonger, Oki Nokia, and the Dollar Milaje, turning the Black Panther into the cultural phenomenon that will be game changer according to the citizen and the fans alike. While Marvel has been hunting to Wakanda accession since Iron Man 2, the mysterious African nation will be taking center stage in the Black Panther. From its unique character to how to craft a narrative centering African culture, Black Panther is going its to part to put T'Challa at the forefront of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Everybody people are further helping the causes with hash Black Panther Challenge hashtag, which has raised over $3 lakh to the help of children color see the film in the theaters. And other Black Panther hashtag hash what Black Panther means to me, created by the Collier Stone of Black Girl Nerds in all the trending national and spotlights what the film means to black audience, sufficient is to say Twitter conversation around the movie to something to behind more all the Black Panther superhero movie that came before Black Panther. Variety is now confirming the Black Panther is indeed the most globally tweeted about the movie of 2018, surprising Star Wars The Last Jedi, which hit theater the late 2017 at number 2, and Mass Runner, The Death Core, which opened last month the number 3. That's not all record the superhero movies stand to break either, having already yet multiple new bookmark to Franco tickets pre-sales. According to the latest projection, there is a real chance Black Panther will join the top 5 superhero movie opening ever when all is said and done. With the film clawing past to many milestone to franchise for the series was all but assured from the character like Letitia Wright. Shuru would eventually take a Black Panther mantle herself to wealth of the story involved the of Dore Melage, titular chef, bodyguard, Wakanda is on about open to story opportunities, the trailing of Avenger Infinite War illustrates the Wakanda and play a critical role in the MCU going forward through exactly what the future hold of the country on the big screen remains mysteries of now. One thing is clear, thus the cultural impact of Black Panther cannot be overseen only should the film be used build a sub-franchise within the MCU, but it should open the door of other stories about marginalization groups to give different audiences an opportunity to see themselves featured in the MCU. Wakanda be taking center stage for new. There are a wealth of other characters who could generate just a interest across social media on the Twitter, especially in the meantime audience should get ready to share their feeling and tweet hell to the Wakanda King. Black Panther rings in 2018 with stylish promo photo. Marvel Studios opened 2018 with a brand new Black Panther promotional photo featuring Lupita Nyong'o, Nokia, and Chadwick Boseman. T'Challa. 2018 is set to the huge year for the film company, marking their 10th year anniversary since they started the Marvel Cinematic Universe in 2018 via Iron Man. Now the studio is a major force in Hollywood and they preparing to celebrate their monumental milestone with three projects: Avenger Infinite War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and the Ryan Coogler directed play. Black Panther is set the routine Marvel fans with one of the franchise's newest superhero additions and Captain American Civil War standout Chadwick Boseman given the limited screen that quickly drew the attention of fans, hyping us for the eventual of outing. His affection introduction in Civil War paid off big time as the project is starting to be the film series' biggest box office opening in the terms of solo outing. Related, Black Panther is 2018 most athletic comic book movie character. The new stylish images has been courses of Marvel Studio official Instagram, which is posted at the con celebrated photo to welcome to the new year with a huge bang, very apt considering the film will performly open the MCU's momental year, featuring to T'Challa, Nokia, and the 2 year, both dressed to nine of the appears to a format outsighting. However, we can expect the whatever it is the setting most likely would not just for a night of winning and dining. Check the photo below. Based on what we know from the big spectacle with Black Panther has in store for Marvel fans for years, the scenes for the major sequence supposedly in South Korea where T'Challa with the help of the Dora Milaje are trying to track down useless Kolia and Yusari. We are not entirely sure it is directly connected to the sense we saw the Antiguans in the interrogation room with the average as the dialogue, the secrets of Wakanda. Whatever it is, the sense we see T'Challa and Nokia both in their most holograms attitude in the part of the cause and action sequence that leads to the higher speed car Panther chase that we has been in the tail from the film. Chances are the affirmation since and the earlier acts of movie, one of the present Tichla nationwide crisis about the weather to come from the bigger global stage and come clean about the hidden treasure of Wakanda or not. This put the country new king in a very difficult situation as he tries to navigate his ways in such a critical situation. While the movie have antagonists such as Erik Killmonger and the Backmore's Kolia and considered as the real theater of the high-tech nation and its people, the person that T'Challa should be the most worried about it. Black Panther is 2018's most anticipated superhero. Chadwick Boseman Black Panther is 2018's most anticipated comic book character. This year 2017 marked a series of underrepresented comic book movie releases. Not only did Hollywood studios release a record number of superhero movies throughout the year, 8 to be exact, from Logan to Wonder Woman to Thor Ragnarok, but these movies accounted to Hugh Jackman's final outing to Wolverine, the first female-led blockbuster superhero film and the first time Justice League U ever releases on the big screen. Related, Black Panther and Identify earned the 2018 most anticipated movie. Pentagon conducts an annual poll ahead of each new year determining the following year's most anticipated movie and the character. For 2018, the most anticipated superhero in a standalone comic book movie is Boseman Black Panther, followed by Jasmine Momoa's Aquaman and the Hardy's Venom, Sophie Turner's Jean Grey, and the Lily's The Wasp. Boseman made his debut T'Challa aka Black Panther in the Russo's 2016 film Captain America Civil War and will be reprising his role as the anonymous superhero is the Ryan Coogler Black Panther solo film in the February 2018 before later appearing for the third time as the Wakanda sworn protector in the Russo's Avenger Identify War in May 2018. After filming a comic for Zack Snyder, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice in 2016, Momo made the official debut of Arthur Curry Aquaman in the Snyder's Justice League in November 2017. And now the character is slated to receive the first solo movie ever this in December 2018 with Momo returning in the title role. Momo Hardy, on the other hand, will making his first appearance as the Eddie Brock event in the October 2018, thus making the first movie a part of Sony's Adjustment Spidey universe. Sophie Turner and Evangeline Lilly both appeared in previous films and the representative character Jean Grey and Hope Van Danny aka the Wasp and they will be reprising their roles in the 2018. Lily is starring in Peyton Reed's Ant-Man and the Wasp in July 2018 but shall be the first appearing in the Russes Identify a few months early returning meanwhile will appear in the Semi-Kingdom X-Men Dark Phoenix and November 2018. More identify and trailer confirm final identify stone location. Black Panther leads MTV Movie and TV Awards nomination. Black Panther has been nominated for a global total of 7 awards to 2018 MTV Movie and TV Awards. Released earlier this year, Black Panther marked the first solo outing of T'Challa after his debut, Captain America Civil War, and saw the newly crowned King of Wakanda face a challenge to the throne for the community named Kulungman. Black Panther made a several vital contributions to the Marvel cosmetic universe, including the technology audience stage of Wakanda, Daniel, Gorix, Virus, Warriors, Oke, and the T'Challa Janius' younger sister, Shori, all of each ended the playing role to Marvel huge team by and Avenger Identify the War. The release of Black Panther was already widely acclaimed prior to release the bringing black superhero to the forefront of their own solo movie and upon hitting theater become a huge critical and commercial success even by the Marvel Studios own standards. Black Panther passed Titanic on the way to becoming the top 10 highest grossing film worldwide and earned the highest Rotten Tomatoes score for a superhero. Given Black Panther feverish the reaction and the box office success, it perhaps should come as a superhero. What awards this recognition will follow, and although Ryan Coogler and co. will have to wait for the award season to start proper, the 2018 MTV Movie and the TV Award have announced the Black Panther is for 7 goals. The full patrons of Black Panther notes are the best movie hero, T'Challa best villain, Killmonger best performance in a movie, Chadwick Boseman best on-screen team, Panther OK, Shori Nokia, Saint Stiller Shuri, and best for Panther Wise and Boko. The nomination of each category read as a follow. Black Panther to save 2018 Hollywood Film Award. Marvel 2018 blockbuster Black Panther will receive the Hollywood Film Award at this year's ceremony. Recognized as the official start of award season of Hollywood Film Awards began back 1997 and honor the most acclaimed films of the year. Last year's ceremony recognized the performances of Sam Rockwell, the Three Billions Outside Being Measured, Illusion, Genie, Antonia, and Jack Glandier in Stronger. Breaking box office record when it the premiere this past February, Black Panther did well with all fans and critics. The movie maintained its 97% rating on the Tomatoes. Chadwick Boseman stars a T'Challa arc of Black Panther and become a breakout star of the film's release. Even the sport Saturday hosting NSL Beyond Boseman Black Panther shines from the performances by co-star Michael B. Jordan, Lupita Nyong'o, and Martin Freeman, among several other fresh of the Avril Mining, successful of the Whale, writer Ryan Coogler, and already signed on the returning of sequel, but it's unclear the sequel will it theaters. Latent Marvel Limiting and 5 war Oscar campaign to boost Black Panther. Yesterday, the Hollywood Film Award announced that Black Panther would be recognized at their opening award, incredible to receiving the Hollywood Animation Award. The 22nd annual awards will be held on the Sunday, November 4, and will honor Crazy Rich Asians and First Man, leveraging several films. No Cool Kingdom received the 2018 Lifetime Achievement Award. Within the announcement, the Hollywood Film Award acknowledged the fact of Black Panther represent more than a superhero movie. The recognition referred to the Marvel movie as a cultural phenomenon. Frontier Malva, first African American superhero in the title role, Boseman quickly became an inspiration to children everywhere. His films were a symbol of the strolled Hollywood is attempting to make toward to diversity is currently lacks the universe issue in Hollywood become most noticeable during the Oscar White movie and has yet to be fully resolved. Internationally, Black Panther is a black pushed forward with a fully Oscar 2019 campaign from the Walt Disney Studio instead of programming Antheon and Joyo Recent Avenger Identify War, which is one of the biggest movie of all time. Marvel Black Panther movie is being marked this award session of the cultural influence as well as acting, filmmaking, and a fourth, while Black Panther is being recognition for its diversity influenced by the Hollywood and award. It remains to be seen the film performs at all the other awards ceremonies later than year next year. Review Black Panther. Over the last several months, my thoughts on Black Panther went from cautious to optimistic, like warm to generally excited. What nearly deepened my enthusiasm was the rapid, unbridled praise from early viewers who were quick to throw what words like masterpiece and the greatest superhero movie ever made. My personal favorite may be that the film may be taught in school and debated among intellectual director Ryan Coogler has been heralded as the new Spielberg. All of this does more to fuel my skepticism than stock excitement. After all, there are some legitimate reasons to want a film like to this skid, and it seems many are doing their part to ensure the hype in through the roof. But here's the thing is I don't prodding in order to find reason to excited Kugler is a fantastic young filmmaker. I absolutely love the cast. I could not wait to see how cinematographical Rachel Mission follows her Oscar nominated work in Mudbound. Ultimately all the following puts under vast pressure on Black Panther, which when brought down to reality is an extraordinary genre picture that stands strong on its own merits. With two feature films under his belt, The Good Favorite Station and The Ever Better Greed, Ryan Coogler hasn't shown himself to be an aesthetic director with a fresh cinematic perspective. He brings all of that to Black Panther, which he helps co-write the John Robert Cooler. His venture is the superhero genre feels epic and scale, yet maintain and immediately the sum of Marvel's other effect log. It's a careful balance that helps the movie excel in a variety of ways. The wonderful cast, Chadwick Boseman returned as the T'Challa, a character first introduced in the Marvel's Civil War. In what film his father, the king of small African country of Wakanda, is killed during a terrorist attack in Vienna. Black Panther begins shortly after the T'Challa set to take father's place of Wakanda. King as at its superpowered protector, he is quickly faced with a host of challenges both from inside and outside of his nation's secret borders. Much the wonderful woman a year ago, Black Panther revisioned its genre and number of ways, and the two movies share similarities. In that film, it was the mythical island of Samaros, the reliant, hidden, and untainted by the outside world. Here is the Wakanda posing a poor third world country, but actually rich in every the technology thanks to a power aligned mineral known as a vibranium, which they keep hidden from the rest of the world. Isolation is the of many subjects explored as the leaders of Wakanda five tribes debuted their traditional stands versus a more open world position. There is no answer. I am sure the invertebrates squeals with proof. While the teacher is the centerpiece, you say it's the supporting character who make this such a rich or full experience. What you have is a delightful collection of powerful and personality rich women Lupita Nyong'o is fabulous. The Titular Principal, the X-Flame, and the Wakanda secret agent Nokia, who's guided by the conscience over crown. Donya Gorik is aligned as a key leader of the female special forces, as the Dora Milai. Letitia Wright plays the titular live younger sister Shori. She has two brother. What you is the James Bond. We also get great name like Martin Freeman, Angela Bassett, and Forrest Whitaker. In the bird guy's corner in the USA, and the Scuddy, who knows Wakanda big secret and has a sweet tooth for a vibranium. There is something I love art, so the scariest performance that I cannot quite my finger on. Colio is a bizarre as the brutal, and you can tell scars in have a bell portraying him. But the name most people will be taken about, and rightly so, is Mitchell B. Jordan, who plays Erik Killmonger. Steven, his story is set up in the film Pologu and comes more into focus on the movie moves forward. As his name denotes, Killmonger has a raised in violence and therefore acts their violence. He is an essential piece to Coogler's story and offers to complexing that the bulk of Marvel violence we has in seen. In many ways, Killmonger is the product of choices by the others, and it is driven by the whirlwind of internal chaos, much of it aimed at Wakanda. Jordan is an absolute scene stealer, and you get the scene Guller wants him to be. The two have collaborate on the favorite and great, and the identify operate on the same wavelength. There, the Christmas Jordan brings a swagger to Columbo as a Pelfra rage of fools is every movie. Ultimately, is a misguided soul, yet at the same time a sympathetic one, much more driving him than the general guest for the world domination. In each of his films, Coogler has shown as a big interest in his character, and it's no different here. He also gives a lot of attention to visualizing Wakanda as a majestic place full of cultural beauty and aesthetic diversity. Production designer Huna Bachelor and cosmetic designer Ruther, Ruth Sutter make the most their chunk of film's 200 million budget, and it's all captured through Rachel Miroshan vibrant camera. As much as loved Black Panther, it is not without a few nagging issues. There are plenty of action scenes, several of which are fabulous, but the ending is the only time the movie falls in with the traditional Marvel formula, a massive final battle with a tone of CGI. While some of his extrailing the effects are not what you would expected and sometimes come off as a little cartoony, there are also a handful of unanswered questions and a couple of relationships that felt underserved mind quibbles in light of what all the movie managed to do right. Black Panther is needed in a socially relevant movie, as many have said it is so without depending on obvious narrative crutches of hammer to head sermonizing. It's socially relevant because it simply is they that may a trip, but it is the best way to state it. The film starting is character. Its conflicts all feel natural and authentic with the world Coogler and company create. The story message and underlying themselves are rooted in conviction, and your release explores with the flow of the narrative itself. Really good filmmaker can do that. In the end, Black Panther is a rousing success not because critics propped it up to commentary screamed its importance. It's a success because of the people who made it immense talent in the front and behind the camera who are hopeful opening the eyes of moviegoers and movie makers. But Black Panther is not just a cultural statement, it's a traffic film that energizes a genre as it was community. Not many movies can say that. Black Panther. In 1992, a little black kid on a makeshift basketball court in Oakland, California, disrupts his game to glance up the sky. Figuratively, as he looking at the laws of hope, a department a departure represented by the glowing lights drifting away into the night. As we learn later, those lights belong to a futuristic flying machine returning to the mysterious African country of Wakanda. The second of Black Panther, the young man was once told by his father that Wakanda had the most wonderful sunset he would ever see, so he cradled the perceived vision of beauty through his darkest hour. When he finally sees the sun go over Wakanda, it provokes a haunting emotional response. This same response will be felt by viewers of Black Panther, one of the year's best films and one that transitions the superhero genre to emergence as an epic of operatic proportions. The numerous battle sequences that are staples of the genre are present, but they float on the surface of a deep ocean of character development and attention to details, both grandiose and minute. Wakanda is a fully fleshed out, unapologetically black universe, a world woven in a tapestry of the richest, sharpest color and textures. Rachel Morrison's stunning cinematography and the Ruth Certain's costume pops so vividly they become almost tackly. You can practically feel the fabric of that worn by Angela Bassett as it beams in the sunlight on the day her son becoming king. Bassett is just one of the numerous familiar and up and coming actors of color who bring their game of Black Panther. Forrest Whitaker, starting K. Brown and Get Out star Daniel Kaluuya are just few of others. The entire cast create character with complexity, readily afforded minorities in cinema. These people are capable of contradictory human responses that have lasting sequences. Their feelings are deep, instantly related, and colored with the shade of grey not often explored in the blockbuster entertainment. When the villain still manage to make your eyes there despite to trying murder the hero in this previous scene. You know you are in the presence of great acting and storytelling. The villain in question, nicknamed Killmonger, is played by Mitchell Jordan. Someday, the team of Jordan and writer-director Ryan Coogler will be mentioned with the same reverence received from Score and Dean Norton. The duo have done three films together, and through this is the first where Jordan is in a supporting role. They will convey a cinematic shorthand that representative of their trusted partnership a film make. This is like only a good. Its villains and Jordan deserves a place in the anti-hero hall of fame alongside such great as an Hawkman's Little Big. Get it from Unforgive like Hackman Jordan lures you in with likable comic average because revealing the shocking level of his he is accessible, but his character arc is not without sympathy nor understanding. Coogler is the perfect fit for the material. It hits all the sweet spot he likes to explore in his film. So much gets written about which prominent director should help the superhero film next, but relatively few would be allowed to leave such a personal mark on the production of a shabby devoted fan feeling. Coogler turns the MCU into the RCU, the Ryan Coogler universe by the including everything we have come to expect from the future in the secret. He had co-write with Joe Jordan Cole like Oscar Grant in Fruitable Stations. The titular Chadwick Boseman is a typically Coogler photogenist, a young black man seeking his place in the world while dealing with his own personal demands and an environment that demands things from him that he is unsure about giving, like Donnie in Create Teachla exerts in the shadow of a late father. Once now for a greatness he also wished to achieve through similar means. Kugler extends these same character traits to his Moz Jordan's Killmonger, who, true to comic book lore form, has a two sides of the same coin relationship with the hero. Even their plans apply with the theory. T'Challa wants to keep Wakanda away from the rest of the world, protective this country using the advanced technology slowly for its designers. Killmonger wants to steal the technology and give it to others, specially to underprivileged black floors to the can, fight, make, and rule the world. Additionally, the dual reflection imaginary of T'Challa and Killmonger is beautifully drawn to the surface in a scene where both men and undergo the same spiritual journey to visit the Father they long to see, but these similar journey are polar opposites in tone as to prove the adjust the one man heaven in another man's hell. Their sins have a way of burrowing into your skin, forcing you and reckon with them later. Coogler universe also is not male dominated in each of his films. There are women who advise and comfort the male leads while still having their own lives and agency. In Fruitival's station, it's Ocativa, Spanish is Mr. Grant, in Creed, it's Tasha Thompson, our artistic girlfriend. Black Panther really ups the stakes, presenting with numerous memorial ferns and intelligent women who fight alongside Black Panther and earn their own cheese. Lupita Nyong'o's Nokia, the Axe of Women, T'Challa still carries a torch. Lived Wright in the story, T'Challa's sister, and the equivalents of James Bond Q that provides the vibranium-based weapons and suits Black Panther uses. And the Danai Goring is a cocky warrior who powers May one outside T'Challa because that does not need a suit to be Batman's. All of these women have action sequences that drew loud applause from the audience, not to mention they are all fully released people. Okay, in the particular has an arc that repels Black Panther's central ideological conflict and microsm. For all its action sequence, they are refreshingly understand focusing on smaller battle than unusual talk of metal that exists only in the mind of Stanley. Black Panther is still Marvel's most mainstream offering to date. It's also most political, a film complete unfair to alliance certain faction of the Marvel base. It does a great job of string folk inflecting with the fear of a Black Panther on Twitter. To be sure, to wit, Wakanda has never been colonized by white settlers. It is the most advanced people in the universe, and in a move that seems timely too, it's been cousin since 1967. Wakanda masquerades with what certain presentation would be referred to as shirtwell nation. Coogler really twist the knife on that one. In the first of two post created sequence, he ends with a very sharp response about the imagination from the nations can bring to the rest of the world. Speaking of ending, Kugler is a man who knows how to end a movie. His last shot in Creed is a terrifying thinking of beauty, and the last scene pre-credit that is in Black Panther made my cry even harder. As in Creed, Kugler depicted young brown faces looking in awe at a hero, something we never see in the mainstream cinema. Black Panther's last scene is a repeat of the scene I described in my opening paragraph. In the present day, a little black kid on a makeshift basketball court in Oakland, California, disrupts his game to glance up at the sky. Figuratively, he is about to gain some hope, an addition represented by the humanitarian hero with much of the teach him and his fellow basketball players. The young man stares the air, realizing that his life and the lives of those around him will be changed. It's ending life with meta symbolic meaning, starting his weekend a lot of brown kids and going to starring as the movie with a similar scene of Av and perception changing wonder because the main superhero and almost everyone else looked like just it. It was a long time coming and it was worth the wait. Black Panther 2018 Review Plot. After the death of his father, T'Challa returns home to the African national of Wakanda to take his rightful place as king. When a powerful enemy suddenly reappears, T'Challa battle as king and as Black Panther gets tested when he is drawn into the conflict that puts the fate of Wakanda and the entire world at risk. Faced with treachery and danger, the young king must rally his allies and release the full power of Black Panther to defeat his foes and secure the safety of his people. Review. I know I was not going to oversee superhero movie anymore on his side, but frankly, there is not much else going to just now, and this is one of these films that everyone is talking about. Although I was not big fan of Captain America's Civil War, my favorite aspect was T'Challa Black Panther, who has repeatedly become my favorite MCU character to date, mostly due to his awesome costume. Chadwick Boseman was born of play role and the bring our dignity and the nobility which we has not really seen in the MCU so far. I went into Black Panther expecting another generation Marvel movie filled with too much goofy humor and zero drama, but was frankly blown away. For me, Black Panther is an easily the best MCU movie for and if what I want to see again to the big screen. There is some hammer, but the tone is mostly serious and the plot is generously, dramatically, and arguably Marvel. Politically, political yet. The world of Wakanda is beautifully realized, and we really get a feeling for the inner machination culture and people. The African costumes and the design are just stunning, and all was, I think, throughout was that I wish I lived there. Once again, Chadwick Boseman nails it, making a titular totally hero whose main priority in the well-being of his people. I liked how Wakanda is so ensuring they will not share their technology with the rest of worldwide, which is the words of a for friction between tribes. This is also the motivation for a main villain Ellie Killmonger. Great name played the excellent Mitchell B. Jordan wants to throne of Wakanda for himself for the fears they can rule the world with of his power at their disposal. There is far more of his character, but I don't know what to go spoiler here. Jordan brings a real fact and mentions every with the understand why is anger making him so of the most memorable Marvel villains to date. The supporting cast too are all the fantastic and sparks and particularly entertaining as the batshit crazy Marshini Osikolia Donny Nin steals the movie okay Janelle who has slowly to Wakanda unwearing. There is a such imagination on the display in this movie that I was just stunned as they came at the same of the ideas but also how to some magnetical technology actually does exist in the real life. The whole idea, the answers plane where you can communication with your deceased loved ones in of the best creation in the Marvel universe and something that is generally fusion. The most score is just incredible mixing hype, hope, buts, the Farrakhan tribe chants and the Chastra I will making it Y to iPod very soon. There is for once real drama which I have found to be lacking in many of the recent Marvel movie, but actually people die and don't come back. But you can have a real emotional action of these character. It is admittedly a little slow in the part is with that never bigger issue to me. I was just loving being impatiently in the new world. I hope we get a series of Black Panther movies there. I need to regular tribe to Wakanda. So what of the action which is why we are all going after Bossman was trained for the get massive crump of the fight scene which are impressive and satisfying violent too. This is one of the brutal MCU movie which the actually adds to the sense of threat. There are a few one-of-one fight scenes mostly between Black Panther and the warriors changes to his throne, but one of my favorite scenes was a car chess bros match. There is a some time too long a break between which is the action leave. But I like I was engaged with the character that I did not mind. The final is the perfect mixture of the franchise, the meat, tribe, breakfast, and the time it was. I just wanted to watch it again. Although there is a CGI in the movie, which I normally bitch about, the really did not bother. So this time, it is just time to world building. Overall, Black Panther is easily my favorite MCU movie, yet with the fantastic characters, stunning visual, and nicely choreographed fight against. Movie review Black Panther 2018. Everything red and white. Marvel Mania has been around for a while now and has been dominating these screens. Marvel movies also have decent stories and I cannot keep up with them. I watched Guardians of the Galaxy Vol 2 and Avengers Infinite War on the Netflix. I like Black Panther the best of the three. I should have seen it in the theater. Instead, I waited even long to watch on the Netflix. I cannot repeat this with the sequel. If you have not seen any of these movies or the first Guardian movie or any of the Avengers series, I recommended watching Black Panther first, then the Guardians of the Galaxy Vol 2 and the Last Avenger Infinite War. Those behind Wakanda. Black Panther is a Marvel Studios production with the executive directors of Victoria Alonso, Jaffer Jorvans, Lois D. Esposito, Stanley and Nat Mori. It was written by Ryan Coogler and G. Robert Cole and based from the Marvel comics by Stanley and Jack Kirby. It was directed by Ryan Coogler. The major cast includes Chadwick Boseman, Tichla, Mitchell B. Jordan as Erik Killmonger, Lupita Nyong'o as Nokia, Daniel Corey or Kolu, Danny Kolu as Kikabi, Letitia Wright as the Shuri Wenstrek Dog as Mboko, starring K. Brown, No, Joban Angela Bassman and Romander Forrest Whitaker as Zori, John Canis, Tichla Martin Freeman as Avinder, Rose David as Lee, Lobani and Anti Serkis as Old Scully. It has a MPAA rating of PG 13 for the prolonged sequence of the action violence and a brief rude gesture. Black Panther is a movie about the country hidden from the rest of the world, Wakanda people, and survival hangs of the weather T'Challa. They are apartment that can rule country effectively in a rapidly changed future. The movie's strength lies in the realistic element within the fantastic race relationship, differing societies, and technological advances. How this element influence and affect each other cannot be understood and does effectively why this movie is highly entertaining. It remains this movie commentary on the current time movie as no to do you can do help the think about the different motivation for the obtaining power action taken to reach it energy needed to perceive it and methods are used once it's lost maybe I am looking to do deep this story begins with vibranium, a herb that transforms people. After ingesting this herb, a warrior becoming the Black Panther and forms a new nation called Wakanda. After years living in the isolation with the advanced technology, things began to break apart. Thousands of years later, T'Challa is the next in line to sit the throne as king, but a warrior of the Jabri troop challenges him. The battle begins on the high cafe, Wakanda with danger never forever. Enter Erik Killmonger was a mission of his own. This forces T'Challa, OK, and Nokia to travel to South Korea where they plan to finding a Rick partner, Olias Kolia. A great chase through the streets of Boston takes place with the species and secrets of far behind. They can return to Wakanda. We get the filmmaker by the T'Challa was king and learn about the border. Indeed, Wakanda is not isolated. T'Challa believes that Eric arrives to challenge him. A battle for power being between the T'Challa and Eric as Wakanda opens itself to the world. It remains to be seen the effects are long term, although in the short term, in the quite obvious. Gorgeous sets and beautiful costumes. The production design and costume were absolutely stunning. I could not get enough to either one. The richness, vibration, and boldness of the costume, convinced by Ruth Thornton, is now a part of history. The same goes for the design of Wakanda, created by Huna Bachelor, with noticeable differences among the setting as the movie progressed. You hear people talk about the something takes on a life of its own. This is what happened in the first fight scene. It completely draws you into the movie that you can start looking beyond the fighting and see what is around the fighter. This is why Black Panther won Oscar for the both categories. Final evolution of Black Panther. I highly recommended Black Panther for its story and entertainment value. While it is not suitable for the young children, teenager, and the young adults are more its target audience. Die Marvel fans saw his when it arrived the theater last year, but I encourage anyone who likes a well-paced movie who has not seen to go it a try. It also nice to see only the man, but women get in there and kick ass. I actually wanted a few more fight scenes, but there was equally commented to conflict and agreement for the story of progress. I would say this is one of the better Marvel movies I have seen in the past 5 years. My only regret is on seeing it sooner. Black Panther 2018 review. Like many people, I went to Black Panther with the highest of expectations. I mean, the film has not nothing but wonderful glowing review. So of course I went to expecting a lot and I was not disappointed. In fact, it exceeded every expectation that I had, which I did not think it could not. Yet there here we thing about this film is that feels more a film drama than a superhero film that makes it sound not interesting. Hold on, it reminds me of Godfather in that it's a family drama amongst a lot of action, like a superhero stuff in throw in with thrown in really well. The focus to film is not so much good as evil but rather privilege and power. My favorite thing about the overall story was to well crafted violence switch halfway through the film. During the first half, we are led to believe that Ulysses Kolia, who has first introduced to US Avenger Age of Ultron in the villain going around the stealing a precious Wakanda vibranium. However, halfway through the find that Erik Killmonger is the real villain as the King Kolyu and proceed to Wakanda try for the throne. Villain in the question makes because don't think you can really call him that. He is the product of the horrible thing that happened to him. It is even stated in the film The Wakanda the king did the Killmonger by not taking him after killing his father. They left him there, so of course he grew up with the hatred or the someone destroyed his family, and of course he grew up wanting to complete this father could not. It make perform scene. He is not a villain, he is person that what made everything hurt more. Well that and Mitchell B. Jordan wonderful acting. The chemistry of the cast was phenomenal, in particular through the chemistry between Chadwick Boseman, Tichla, and Letitia, which is the sister story. Every interruption they had felt so natural. It felt like they were family. There's no a single act who I would say give a weak performance. Honestly, it's clear that they all worked every hard on this film to portray the character and portray them well. The darker feeling of Ryan Coogler directing coming through well and blend perfectly with any comedy in the film. The filmmaker has cited the Francis the Coppola film of the 1970s and the Bond film and influence of Black Panther and the comes through loud and clear. The cosmetic department and the set designer had to even have amazing time working on his film. Wakanda is a made up country. Yes, that country is that you would surrounding is a note. All of these countries, all of the tribes within the country seem to be used inspiration for look and feel of not only the city Wakanda but for the people doing with it. There is so many varieties in the regard to costume that I would have to see the film that last more times to fully appreciate the scope of it. There is minimal fight scenes in his film, however, the fight scenes that are there are jaw-droppingly awesome. The technology that is created for the film is incredible. My favorite being the remote driving system using hard light. Overall, the film was beautiful shot. The score of loading grandson perfectly with the film. Kogler worked with the people who has worked with when last couple of films. They know how the work, they know what the wants, and they all share the similar vision. It was a smart move that continues to pay off. You had been crazy not to see this film. It one of the rarer ones that even the superhero movie are not young thing. I had bet that you would enjoy it. You can currently sing Black Panther is theater near you. Film review Black Panther delivers a glorious new hero. Sanmurjan, but I am overall exhausted by the superhero genre and the never ending extending universe that come with it. That does not mean that I don't enjoy the occasional examples such as Thor, Ragnarok, or Wonder Woman. I grew up performing DC to Marvel, but most of the comic book adaptation I like when I like them come from the later franchise, which offer greatest variety of character and stories, sometimes straying that enough from the generic formula to generate something of interest. Too often, these overblown, overhead CGI fast race that stakes so high. Here comes to end of the world nice more as to virtual meaningless. I am more than happy report than that not only in the Black Panther a superlative representative of the Marvel model in terms of acting and the secret. I also feel where the central conflict is more human scale with the social rebellions that resonate beyond the conflicts of the narrative. Chadwick Boseman plays T'Challa, crown princess of the fictional African nation of Wakanda, as we learn in an opening explanation. Voiceover never my favorite method of delivering information. I'm not right made of vibranium, strongest element on Earth, crushed into the present-day site of Wakanda eons ago, leaving a massive deposit of all that ever since has powered that nation's development of a technology of far beyond and other on the planet. The management of that secret treasure falls to T'Challa as the eldest at the death of his father. The king, through his younger sister Shori, later Wright, a brilliant scientist, oversees the gadgets that Guzmi is part of the family legacy, is the one whoever rules and holds the power of the Mastral. Black Panther, which grants Superman strength and more, and to T'Challa settle into his new role after surviving a brutal challenge from the local chieftain and the prepare to rule his kingdom. Unfortunately, trouble arrives quickly on his door setup in the form of a rival named Erik Killmonger, played by a magnetic Mitchell B. Jordan Great, an American magician in league with a region South African named Ulysses Kolo, played an anti-circus, normally a motion capture actor known for roles like Casher in the recent Planet of the Apes film. Together, they help to steal the Wakanda technology and take over the world, although it soon turns out that Killmonger, though violent, has a more noble agenda. Killmonger has long been disturbed by the fact that Wakanda does not nothing with its fantastical science other than protect its own and hide from the world. Millions of Africans suffer and has suffered in the past, while this teeny country could have, with the refraction of the power, saved them. This has changed to say. Part of what makes Black Panther such as a compelling film in the complicated violent Killmonger is not wrong to long for a better world for his brother and sisters. His methods are flawed and his unstable personality makes him an impractical feature for the message but has point against which is hard to argue. Both men equally strong as Titular vessels with the normally diploma worried about the what explored might mean to his homeland of such complex conflict in worthy drama made. The rest of the cast easily hold their own against the two leads, including Lupita Nyong'o, 12 years slave, and Nakia, the warrior prince who is T'Challa main love and trusted Danai Gori, mentally of the Walking Dead, or OK, the head of Wakanda security. Daniel Kaluuya get out as WKB distracting Prince the aforementioned Wright and Circus Martin frame Bibo in the Hobbit film as a CIA officer, which unexpected finds himself fighting alongside the Teach and his family. Everyone has the talent on full display and there is sport rather the friends, enemies or the joy watch. Director Ryan Coogler does a fine job creating a cinematic that makes sense within the rules of established in its first scenes, and he is set up for artificial ritual matrix gives the image of great beauty with a consistent design throughout the film. At 140 minutes in the long, it only rather feels so when it gives to exposition instead. Most of the time, Black Panther delivers a masterful new take to the superhero region story, fresh in the perspective and energetic in its plotting. I highly recommend. Is Black Panther 2018 overhated? Instead of starting off with a joke or some written remark like unusual, do I would like to take a moment to remember that the late Chadwick Boseman you will forgive forever live on its hearts. Directed by Ryan Coogler, Black Panther is the 18th film in the ever expanding Marvel Cinematic Universe and follows the story of T'Challa Chadboxman, the titular Black Panther. He has been crowned the new king of the isolationist nation of Wakanda after his father's death and was to lead his kingdom to prosperity. However, he has faced the challenges both inside and outside the country, such as perform U.S. Navy SEAL named Erik Killmonger, Mitchell B. Jordan, who is out to challenge the throne of his own gain. Black Panther was intentionally released in 2018 to nearly universe acclaim, who won of the highest critical score out of the MCU film. Everyone loved it. You would have been a fool not to. Many on nothing but the praise its performance, its portrayal of African American narrative, and also for it just a plain superhero film to enjoy yet separate praise inevitably led to disarray while the post-release hype remained strong for several months. Other voices started to pop the regarding the film and whether it truly deserves its pedestal. People started digging deeper, finding numerous plot holes of consistencies or claiming some characters were written weakly. Several video essays who come out on Black Panther was overheaded was going too far to say to film only achieve its status because of its cultural significations rather than the anything of substance it actually had. Obviously, neither blind praise or vehement disclosures the healthy manners to have, yet I have found the debate itself fascinating with how much people are criticized the film could not be that initial hype was unwarranted. How many of the idea and 15 reasons that Black Panther is overrated sorts of article actually hold some weight. Today, I do like to contribute the decision I have taken some of the main point left against the film since it released and try to see whether they are valid or not, whether the film truly is overrated. Does T'Challa free regressive? In Black Panther overrated Black Panther 2000 film Marvel Studio, one of the main reasons why people claim the film is overrated is that the supposedly mass up the main character mainly because of the compressions to the previous appearance. Black Panther actually made his MCU debut not in his solo movie but in Captain America Civil War as one of the major side character. He actually had a small arc throughout the film where they learned the futures of recognition rage because of his many claims that was the already complete as a character in Black Panther and therefore his emotional struggle in the rather feel regressive. However, I find the basis of that argument that T'Challa's character growth was already complete thanks to Civil War, or rather, shortened approach character multifaces the T'Challa grew in one area on that does not mean the journey was complete. And in Black Panther, the arc that T'Challa goes through the incomplete different from the one takes in Civil War. Civil War focuses more on T'Challa as a man. They are the purpose, the Winter Soldiers, because of the mistaken belief that has killed his father. His motivations are inherited person connected to the feeling as son without any regard to his nation. Therefore, him in deciding to stop letting ravage consume him at and its growth into a more pragmatic Black Panther, however, focuses more the T'Challa growth as a king rather than the he is going to let go to agency. The film question how he is going to lead the nation by maybe men, but the me question whether the means is to a good king instead of digging up solved issues to throw at T'Challa again. The most movie raises the issues that originally presented themselves due to his race to the throne. In fact, we can see T'Challa has kept the lessons he learned to Civil War despite the fact that Killmonger nearly kills him in Black Panther as the instead of Wakanda resources to start a war. T'Challa does not lash Killmonger with hatred, instead of approaches him with mercy and tries to make him yield without casuals. And argument can be made about the trades also collide and arms dealing the store Wakanda natural resource many times the path he is intent on executing once is caught. However, it is most because Kola is the enemy of Wakanda, not just of T'Challa. Therefore, when he is out executing Kola, the uphold the responsibility at the king of Wakanda rather than acting based just on the personal emotion. T'Challa character growth in Black Panther is not him recasting, but rather him progressive future. Is Wakanda's portrayal insensitive? The nation of Wakanda is shown to be the wealthiest and most advanced nation on the planet. It has technology such as maglev trains for common usage and other fancy gadgets that you make guns to primitive in compression, yet all the same time it chooses its leaders through brutal combat. Some say that is instinctively portrayal of African American culture, putting a crude, almost barbaric procedure in the politics of supposedly developed nation. However, it is like the filmmaker nations were not particularly malicious. On the other hand, I see these are result of portraying Wakanda isolationist policies in its culture. Wakanda has spent all its time shut off from the rest of world, keeping its wealth or advanced tech a secret so that other nations dismiss it least developed country. Therefore, it is has not engaged the internationally trade or brought the foreign culture influence such as pop culture of politics. Therefore, it is a note of a question that the terrible parts of culture have preceded to modern time. We even see the sort of mix in the how Wakanda looks. Its streets remained dead paved deposit having shiny all buildings all around and all resident clothes and arms have tribal influence. I find that issue when Wakanda is not the incentively but rather the encourages. Despite the film successfully messing a technology parasite the classical American culture, the brutal combat still stick out the considered setting for the brutal combat leans especially heavily in the trouble routes which change people to the conflict and half neck to the fighting which spreads and cheers. It's certainly an old part of movie when the rest of it shows seek laboratories or have just I took take too much offense with it and said duels are still entertaining and beautifully shot, but it is an understandable thing to be vexed about. Does Wakanda make no sense? Other criticism has been levied on the logistics of Wakanda itself. Wakanda's technological marvel are mostly thanks to its boundless supply of vibranium, a near indestructible comic book supermetal. Some ask them Wakanda was able to accumulate its wealth deposit, keeping all the vibranium to itself and never trading with other nations, or how people were able to process vibranium in first place when it almost indestructible. Logical speaking, such as critics, a fairly valid Wakanda is indeed a unrealistic nation to exist when you dig into every fact of its operation. However, it is here that I would not pose a question, is that security necessary? This actually applies film as a whole, and the tendency of to find plot holes in everything on some level it's necessary. It's something the movie does not make sense. It can hammer you impression. Yet I believe if a movie managed to capture your attention with its story well enough and does not draw too much attention to some of smaller logical flaws, it is blind to overlook such plot holes. And Black Panther skate in doing to because it promised and engage. I am not bored with its exploration of Tichla and different facts of American African heritage and the affirmation question adorning the Netflix. There are still it is nothing that will permanently harm American. After all, what do you think is worth your time focusing the inner battle of Tichla as a mulls over the sense of an abstract or theoretical emotional history of Wakanda? Has the action devolved? What do you watch superhero movie for? Of course, it's to see faithful characterization of beloved superhero and compelling story to boot. But we have watched this movie to see cool stuff happen on screen. It's something that Black Panther has been for many claim its action feels lifetime and often avoid to tension. Many have also claimed its title Best Picture in the year and other sign of overhead to film. In this case, I have to agree 100%. One issue is lighting. I watched the movie both in theaters and on my computer, and in both causes, I found several fight sequences too dark, which is not helped by the fact that the main character wears all black in the addition compared to his light yet power movement in Civil War. Black Panther movies feel more sluggish in the movie and did not stand out as much. A part of that may be due to a new movie Black Panther has in a movie. His suit can now absorb kinetic energy and it let it in the massive blast. While this is a cool gimmick and some neat eye candy when you first see in the movie seem to read too much that gimmick instead of actual geography, it also makes much of the action of feel pointless as Tichla illiterate cannot get hurt by the conventional meaning while wearing the suit. Other action senses did not fare much better. The car chase is Bosan in pretty creative, but other senses such as the war between Kolominger and Titla spotted in the climax feel disappointing small scale. There are not enough people involved to create a sense of grandeur such as deserved and the stunt work shows it falls in my places and one superhero movie does not have cool action you cannot help but feel a bite down. Is the CGI ugly? Another visual related topic is the CGI deposit being a big budget blockbuster. The fact have been panned a quiet and eye raise, some even going so far as to say the action scenes look like Xbox gesture. On that mean I must agree once more. Apparently the filmmaker were only given 6 weeks to film the final duel between Tichla and Kolominger, which would explain where the movement looks so rubbery and floppy. Its issue lies not just is the quake of CG used by the amount of it as well. I could get there is a lot of technological beauty that you just cannot recreate without the help of ticket effect, but there are other causes such as science with nation backboards where real life sets could have been used. It is a likely rears of the production team being rushed to fit into the overall MCU shield of 3 movies per year, but knowing that does not make the CG any less of an any eyes rose. In Black Panther, overrated. So now we return to the initial question, is Black Panther overrated? Yes, it is a bad movie. No. With the film gained both a huge of falling the some blockbuster and understandable for the Black Panther audience and not had proper black representative in a genre mainstream and superhero in over a decade with movie like Blade dating all the way back to 1998. Black Panther would have been the finding on Aussies in desert. People were justifiably happy and maybe led to some hasty reaction. Some parts over time had begun to cool and many started to look past the film cultural significations. Yet that not mean the Black Panther does not have anything to office offer besides of being cultural milestone. It's in introspection about the titular character as a king and the debuted with Killmonger philosopher as fascinating to watch and does not its job for solidifying Black Panther place in MCU. I also find the easy to uh, look past many plot holes or potential loaded topic. The only parts that truly drag to down its visual, with this being a visual medium with another clear CG energy blast feels the scene is unfortunately hammers my impression. Thus, I feel Black Panther reception and states the top of the MCU has certainly been overrated, especially when the entire have had just and solid written and the treasure can carry to boot, but that does not keep to from a being movie. It was a blown away by or anything, but I had total trouble going back to its for article. Hopefully, Wakanda Forever will continue the film's strong legacy and show that the success of its predecessor was not a flaw. Black Panther 2018 review. I am going to be brutally honest, ever since 2015, I have hot but mixed feeling about the output from the Marvel Cinematic Universe MCU. The year 2015 produced on movie that I found entertaining yet disappointing, and other films that I found entertaining and original but not exactly mind blowing. But the year 2016 and 2017 proved to be very disappointing as far as MCU movie were concerned. By the end of 2017, I thought the MCU had finally lost its mojo until I saw Black Panther early in the following year. I realized my might find the comment something of a head scratcher when exactly was wrong with the MCU film between 2015 2017. Well, I thought the Avenger Age of Ultron was entertaining yet problematic. I enjoy Ant-Man very much, but I would never regard it as one of the franchise best. The movie starting with 2016 Captain America Civil War and ending the 2017 Thor Ragnarok struck me very disappointing and somewhat inferior, despite the fact of the franchise was racking in millions of billions with these films. I personally believed it had reached our artist a base. Until I saw Black Panther, not only did I find the latter film entertaining, I also regard as if one of the better MCU films I have been in the franchise 10-year history with Black Panther. It seemed the MCU and did not only compete out of the abyss but had a regard or nearly reached a pinnacle. Black Panther basically told the story about King T'Challa, aka Black Panther, adjusting to just his role as the new sovereign of Wakanda as isolated and fictional American nation that is the most technical advanced in the world thanks to the vibranium metal within its borders. Wakanda has spent most of its existence pretending of a poor third world nation in the order to protect it from the world, especially Western nation, and prevent them from learning about its rich course of vibranium. The narrative for Black Panther picked up the least week after the events of Captain America Civil War. T'Challa and his premier Beauregard and leader of the Dora Major Regiment OK extract Nakia and T'Challa ex-lover and the Wakanda spy from an uncovered assignment in Nagria. All three returned to Wakanda capital to prosperity T'Challa coronation as the new king. During the ceremony, the leaders of Wakanda five tribes are each given the opportunity to challenges that temporarily to depower via portion the his super strength and the speed. T'Challa role as the new king, the ruined combat of the leaders Maboko, the Mountainous Jabri, tribal challenger T'Challa after a forced fight Mbako. Cancelled default and T'Challa is official acknowledged as king of Wakanda. Unfortunately, the T'Challa triumph is short-lived when the Wakanda intelligence becomes a fear of robbery committed by a group of thieves led by an old foe of country, Ulysses Kola, the Lortress, stolen and the old Wakanda artifact from a London monument that the toned vibranium, an immortal substance that allows Wakanda to become the most technical advanced nation in the world. Unknowns to the nations when Wakanda intelligence learns that Kola plans to sell the vibranium to the CIA at a location in the Boseman, South Korea. Tichla, Nakia, and OK travel through the interrupt the planned place sale, arrest the arms dealer instead of arresting Kola. Tichla stumbles across a family sector involving one of Kolya's fellow thieves of African American named Erik Killmonger, which will threatens his position to the Wakanda throne and endangers the country itself. After being disappointed by five MCU movies in a row better 2016 and 2017, I found myself wondering if I would ever enjoy a movie from the franchise again. Thankful Black Panther proved to be a more than pleasanting surprise thanks to Ryan Coogler direction and the excellent screenplay that co-write with George Jobdad Cole. Black Panther proved to be a unique film that combined the usual element of comic book movie, a film drama, and a rare exploration into the political and social aspects of the African diaspora. Film drama is the nothing new to Marvel Cinematic Universe. MCU audience have seen this played in movie like The Thor, Terry Gill 2015, Ant-Man and a certain extent 2018. The Incredible Hulk Black Panther is another additional in which a deadly encounter between the T'Challa father and Uncle King T'Challa and the Prince and Job 1992 led to New King learning about the cousin and the Jehovah's American cousin Eric Killmonger, Steven Aka Prince and Jadaka. The 1992 encounter led to Eric become the orphan and the abandoned by the isolationist Uncle T'Challa. This is the turn led Eric to see revenge against the nation of Wakanda. Ironic, Eric never got to chance to exist the revenge on the every person responsible for his loss, namely the uncle who was killed by the Holmed Zoom's bomb in Civil War. But for him, T'Challa and Wakanda serves a convenience the agency. What made of all his even fascinating and a lot more original than the MCU other family drama was how Coogler and Kola managed to mix a good deal of political controversy into the film. Osage, one of the responsible prince and Jobo had fallen out of favor with his older brother was his growing with weakened isolation politics with the world, including those of the African diaspora and around the world. After his experience in the later 20th century, Okaland New Jopa decided to reveal Wakanda existence to Alsa Kola and help the latter influence Wakanda to smuggle out of the vibranium, and Jobo planned to see the vibranium to create weapons and a revolution of American diaspora and against the dominating Western nation with his father's death. Eric planned are not only to the revenue against the royal house of Wakanda but also carry out and Jobo plans. Watching this, I am reminded or Loki plans in 2017's Thor, namely to keep a powerless Thor standard on Earth while he set up the forest gains destruction and the audience favor. Much I had enjoyed that movie. Loki's plans seemed rather than to be in compare the risks, but what made this history to even including in the end. Eric's plans to Wakanda weapons to conquer the world eventually led to T'Challa's decision to finally end Wakanda isolation policy. Black Panther featured by pretty sold action sequence. I enjoyed the sequence featuring T'Challa and Baku's fight for the throne, Eric and Coleus confrontation as an abandoned South Korean T'Challa and Eric's battle for the throne, and the Battle of Mountain Bushinga, in which T'Challa and his forces attacked to prevent Eric and the border tribe for the sending Wakanda weapons to outside world. All over pretty good action sequence, but it had to select my favorite. It would be configuration by the Boscon cousins between the T'Challa, Naki, and Oki against Kolya and the Minions, with the CIA agents Everett Rose thrown into the mix. This particular sequence was simply boss, especially since it led to car chairs on the streets of Basman that once are featuring Oki slamming her wig to the face of Kolya, meaning to probably remaining imprinted in my mind for years. Another aspect of Black Panther that I admired was the film's reproduction design. Mind you, the film maintained the same plot photography that the MCU has become infamous for. However, I think Rachel Maria's photography was enhanced by some sharp color and the movie visual effect. On a natural gorgeous production design that convey the world of Wakanda along with the art direction team led by Alan Hook. Aside from Bachelor's reproduction design, I am especially impressed by Oscar Anime Nomi and certain design. Someone who's compared with those costumes featured in the 1988 comedy. Coming to America with honestly, I think prefer a certain more naturally designed as featured in Imaginary Below. eventually certain disability who both a Golden Globe Award and the Academic Award for her work. But all of the above would have meant nothing about without the talented cast for the film. Black Panther features some first-rate performances from the likes of Daniel Cooling, who portrayed Border Tribe. K. Kabu was designer whose own personality vision against all his colors, starring Bones as a revolution princess and Jobo, both John Canny and son at Vanda Kansi and the older and younger versions of King T'Challa, Angela Bassett and T'Challa starring Willard yet love mother and divorce Queen Ramadan, who gave the solid performance as the younger Zori, and Martin Freeman as a CIA agent. Everett Rose, who proved to more entertaining, relevant in the film that is Captain American Civil War. However, there were those performances that really impressed me. One came from Andy Serkis, who was a hoot of the murderous yet over the top South American arms dealer Ulysses Colia. Letitia Wright, and equally entertaining as the Titla, and witty and charming sister, the tech subway Princess Chori. Another came from Lupita Nyong'o, who can fascination the heartful portrayal of Wakanda intelligence agents that Titla perform girlfriend Nokia. Forrest Whitaker was our first rare performance of Wakanda top certain and performed Space Zodi. Whitaker was especially impressive in one scene in which his character was forced to confuse the King T'Challa and the action regarding and Jobo and Erik Killmonger, Western Dog, and very impressing time, rather amusing. I am Baboko, leader of Montaigne Jabri tribe. Also, his first appearance in the film during T'Challa coronation ceremony is one of the most memorable moments I have seen in the movie. So quite some time, Daniel Gorick are equally impressive and imposing as Oko, the traditional leaders of the king, bodyguards, Dora Majel. Although I find the character conversation or anything at time, I must admit the Gurira gave one hell of performance. However, this movie is really about two characters, King T'Challa Wakanda aka the Black Panther and his paternal cousin Erik Killmonger, Steven Apka, Prince and Jadiga. Yes, I know that the movie is called Black Panther, but to be honest, this movie is about both cousins and how their conflict views on Wakanda role in the world and especially upon the American diaspora. Chadwick Boseman's second turn, T'Challa proved to be a different kettlefish from the driven newly accended king determined to see revenge for the death of his father. T'Challa is Captain American Civil War in this film. Boseman gave a more relaxed performance as the happy and more satisfied young king, eagerly anticipating yet slightly fearing his new role as king. However, Boseman's relaxed performance skillful transformed into one of disbelief, anger, and outrage when Atishla learned about his father's action back in Oka Land in 1992. This was especially apparent in the scene in which Boseman gave outstanding performance. The first scene featured his configuration with the Zori, which confused the two circumstances about the Oakland. Boseman gave a very meditating yet regal performance in the scenes. The other featured Titla's second dream in the will expressed anger and disappointing at his father's spirit of had happened to Eric. Speaking of the latter, Major B. Jordan has been receiving rare viewers for the performance as Erik Killmonger. Some have been declared his character as the best MCU villain ever. I don't know if I agree with that. That's the amusement, but I must admit that Jordan gave one of the most skillful, ambitious performance I have encountered. The franchise audience could easily sympathize with the backstory. The young boy who had lost his parents and abandoned. Also, one cannot have the admired Eric desire to help those American nations and members of the African diaspora, something his cousin seemed unwilling to do. Any yet the level of violence Eric seemed willing to utilize the order achieve his goal, or his unwillings of fact the one person who had truly wronged him was dead justify why the talented Jordan had portrayed him.